Oh! Yes, I did tuck my nice shirt into my camo black basketball shorts, in case you're wondering. I struggle to get wrinkles out of shirts. Not the time for it, but I wish they made some sort of device that could get wrinkles out of clothes. But until that's invented, I don't know what to do. Love is Blind is a very popular Netflix dating show that everybody's watching. Your mom's watching it, your sister's watching it. You just didn't know because you didn't ask them. The reason people love this show is because it's got like a really nice, fluffy, feel-good premise. It's like, what if we didn't base our affection for people just solely based on looks? What if you could love someone for what's on the inside? Which we know is a lie, because the inside is the less important of the two. What this show does is they pull in a bunch of singles, they put them in pods, and have them talk to each other through a wall. That way, they can get to know each other's personalities. And they want them to fall in love with what's on the inside, right? They won't even let them see each other until they're engaged. And then they ask the question, is love blind? And by the end of the season, either the couples are married, or they hate each other. Either one's good for us because it's fun TV otherwise. I say it's good TV, but I hate the show. Truly. I hate it so much. And the reason I hate it is because men. I hate the men in the show. And you know what? This isn't one of those pick me things where it's like, hey, men, they suck, right, ladies? No, it's not that. I love men in a straight way. Except for Cam Gigande. Then there's some wiggle room. The problem is there's the old proverb of, oh my God, my nose ring. That's a nice metallic smell. There is a ancient proverb from, some long famous historian in the past who once said that men fall in love with their eyes and women fall in love with their ears. I think it was Steve Harvey. I think he was the philosopher. We should celebrate our differences. I think a lot of times men feel a little bit awkward because it's like, oh no, I'm not shallow. Yes, you are. Accept it, all right? Let's celebrate it. The problem with this show, though, is the men will fall in love, but they can't see their partner. So every time the man says, I love you, to someone he has never seen before, I can literally hear the asterisk in their voice.
I don't think I'm ready. Is she hot?
When the women of the show say, I love you, they mean it. When the guys of the show say, I love you, they say it and hope you're hot enough to mean it. There's always that little fine print, I gotta be attracted to you, otherwise I'm not gonna try. And do you know what happens when the men aren't attracted to the women? Do they say, hey, listen, I don't want to drag out this engagement. It's not gonna work. I think I'll bow out. Do they say that? No. Instead, they say, you know what? I think you're the most gorgeous person on the planet ever. And then you can watch as they disengage for several weeks, looking for any reason to break up, or they put in no effort until the woman gets fed up enough to break up with them. It's a tale as old as time. Well, it's as old as 7 seasons, because that's how long the show is. But I'm sure it's happened every year. And the problem is the women, they are truly in love. And they want to believe that this isn't true. So they convince themselves, but hey, ladies, I'm here as a man to tell you the tricks of men, all right? I'll tell you when they don't mean it. We got a couple men in this season that don't mean it. I got Southern all of a sudden. You want some grits? Been a couple years since I just broke out in random accents. I guess I go through phases. So Dylan, you might ask, why, if the premise doesn't seem like it's advantageous for men, why do they sign up for the show? Here's one answer.
I've dated based off looks, and so far, it's gotten me nowhere.
Listen, I understand realizing that picking for appearance only didn't work for you. But trying the exact opposite thing, probably not the solution, my guy. It's like being like, hey, last couple years I've been putting on quite a bit of weight, so I've decided to stop eating now. That's not a reasonable solution. That's just the other extreme. Find the middle ground. How about it then? Should we meet some of these lucky singles who signed up for the show? Let's talk about a couple of nerds. A couple of science geeks. Taylor and Garrett. But actually, before I talk about this couple that emerges, Taylor and Garrett, let me talk about Garrett meeting Brittany.
Oh my God, I need to go back to school. Like, if you saw how I spelled physicist, you would walk out that door right now.
Can't spell physicist. Lady, what are we in 3rd grade? You just gotta sound it out. How hard is it? Physicist. F-I-Z-Z. Assist. Physicist. When in doubt, sound it out. Never failed me. But you know who Garrett does have chemistry with? It's Taylor. And they bond over both having science-based jobs. They both have science tattoos. It's kind of cute for losers. Now, all jokes aside, they actually are a very cute couple, and it is going swimmingly between them until she reveals to him that she's not white, which sends bro spiraling.
I have to admit, like, I've dated white girls. That's all I've ever dated. It's just, it is a new feeling for me, even without knowing, like, what ethnicity you are.
He's like trying to talk through it to find the light back on path to like a normal good conversation, and bro is like digging, tunneling, and all he's doing is digging himself deeper. He just, at one point he says, "What else have you been hiding from me?"
You are very, like, calculated about what you say, and while I love that about you, it's also like, what's she hiding?
Oh, it's brilliant. I love that moment because it's like, hey, dude, do you know what you signed up for? It's called Love is Blind. Yeah, where you don't talk about your appearance. You're only focused on the personality. It's like the whole point of the show. Did you get the memo? Did you miss that one? Despite this little hiccup, they do end up getting engaged. And I think when they finally meet each other for the first time, they see each other, I think there's a real attraction there. I think they like the way each other looks. I gave a number to every single couple. What if the odds are that they're going to get married at the end of the season? And for them, I gave them a 51% chance, which is high. You're thinking like, oh, just slightly above average chance. But no, this show has a much higher fail rate than success rate. But since they are attracted to each other and they share a lot of the same hobbies and interests, I felt like it was a pretty good chance. I feel solid about them. Let's talk about Richie. That's not his name, by the way. That's what I call him because he's rich and he wants everybody to know that. He specifically has a moment at the start where he's like, I have a lot of money. I am so wealthy, but I don't want the women to know this because I want a girl that wants me, not my money.
I mean, I'm fortunate. Like, I have an interesting and lucrative job. My biggest insecurities is that a girl only wants me, like, for money.
So the way that he strategically withholds this information from the women is by telling them he's wealthy right off the bat.
Like, I'm, like, really fortunate to be 30 years old and, like, really not, like, have to worry about money at all.
And naturally, if you could guess what kind of woman he attracts, it is the woman who couldn't spell physicist. Dummy. But these two have a connection because he has money and she likes men who buy her things. So there's just like a mutual interest there. She doesn't want to work. She outright says she wants to be a trophy wife.
Some people want to be boss babes and make all the money and live their lifestyle, and that's not how I want to live. I'm obviously a trophy wife.
Specifically trophy. She doesn't want to just be a wife. She touts the fact that she has no cooking skills. She's got no practical skills at all. She just wants to be on the shelf. She just wants to be seen. That's it. So her new name is Trophy. Richie and Trophy, baby. They start talking about having kids and what their kids' names would be. And she says, hey, I've had this name in the back of my mind forever for a kid. For a girl specifically. A little exercise. I want you to go to the comments and I want you to guess the douchiest name that you could think of. Whatever you think of is not going to be worse than what I'm about to tell you, okay? And this is her actual name that she wants to name her child. Are you have 5 seconds? 5, 4, Axel? You're thinking Axel, aren't you? Harden? No, don't you dare. The name that she wants to name her daughter is Blaze.
I really like the name Blaze.
Whoa.
Blaze. And his last name is Brody. Blaze Brody. She wants their child's name to be. You know, when kids are in, the early days of schooling, they have like anti-bullying campaigns that come through the schools. I think if Blaze Brody told her name to this anti-bullying campaign, they would be like, we can't defend you. You deserve it. You know what I mean? It's like, let's protect every child with exceptions. And you would be part of that very small minority group. I think the anti-bullying group would spit on her. I don't know about you guys, but anytime there's like certain wealthy people, when you talk to them, you kind of walk away feeling, ugh. And it's like there's like this weird disconnect. They can't relate. Richie talks about how he only wears like the finest suits, custom Italian, whatever, Rolexes, Bombas socks, only the finest clothes for him. This video is sponsored by Bombas. Oh boy, I am so glad I'm being sponsored by Bombas during this holiday season because I know what I'm getting everybody in my life. Comfortable, quality socks. And the beautiful thing is, if somebody doesn't appreciate the gift, you could say to them, oh, did you know that Bombas, they donate every single item that's purchased from them, they donate one item in return. They've donated over 140 million items. So you don't like the gift. Do you hate helping people in need? Is that what this is? Are you secretly a terrible person. I joke, but I am also serious. And this is my gift for everybody that I'm buying. I'm buying them Bombas socks, and I'm going to be using my discount code. I'm going to go to bombas.com/oogabooga and use code oogabooga20 at checkout, and I get 20% off my first order. You can also use this little QR code. Bang. That was a mix of bang and bam, and I couldn't decide between the two words. Just kind of a little weird mixture there, my bad. Bang. I have to cut it with a little voiceover because something happened yesterday. I was talking to my sister on the phone. A couple months back, she bought some Bombas socks on my recommendation because I had the discount code. And now she's like, you've ruined me because I can only wear Bombas socks. They are the most comfortable socks in the world, which is what I hear from everybody. Like, once you wear Bombas socks, like, you don't want to wear anything else. I love Bombas. Everybody who buys from them loves Bombas. They do a great thing in the world, and you sacrifice nothing because you get a great quality product in return. Bombas.com/oogabooga. Use code oogabooga20, 20% off your first purchase. Link will also be in the description if you want to give that a little clicky. Bang. Thank you to Bombas for sponsoring this video. Okay, so I don't know. There was no talk of custom suits and stuff like that. I made that up. But there is a point where Richie is at the table talking with the guys. These are guys that didn't grow up wealthy. So these are guys that are just relatively normal. This is gonna be probably like the one of the two most horrible things you're gonna hear in this video. But Richie tells the guys about his family and how 4 of his family members like got serious illnesses and died within a couple months or a couple years of each other. It like happened in quick succession. But he says, no, don't feel sorry for me though, because I would much rather be me than be someone who doesn't have money.
I would much rather have my problem than the problem of lack of money. It's a really great, lucky problem to have.
He implies that I would rather have a bunch of money with dead family members than to have a bunch of love and family, but not wealth. Most people will choose family way before they choose money. In fact, people will give up a lot of money to spend one more day with a loved one who's gone. Richie's like, no, they're gone, and I'm gonna keep every last dollar. As for Trophy, she has had some really difficult times in her relationships because she has only ever dated athletes and musicians. So rock stars, yeah. Which turns out, I guess those aren't like the best guys to date, which is weird because you only ever hear great things about, celebrities and their dating. So it's hard for me to feel sorry for her because it just sounds like it was a career of those kind of decisions for her. And now she's in her mid-30s and she's like, well, that didn't work. I especially have no sympathy because she came in with the attitude of, I can get anyone in here to marry me. I could get any guy I want.
I could easily seduce any of these guys to fall in love with me and marry me.
I hate when they say that. And you know what's funny is one of the first dates that they show is her and Garrett. And Garrett leaves their first date like, yeah, she ain't for me. I'm not doing anything with that one.
Good. That's not my girl. That's not for me.
So she can't. She can't get anyone she wants. Now you just look stupid. Welcome to the club. I do that all the time. Richie also has another girl that he's courting. Her name is Hannah. Now, Hannah is just a big goofball, right? And she doesn't care at all about money, which attracts Richie. He'll talk about all these, like, wealthy things, and she's like, oh, cool. Sick. That must be fun for you. And she's like, I don't care. And he's like, oh my God, I love that part about you. You're so real. You're so down to earth.
Some people are like, so what's the most expensive piece of art you sold? And it's like, I understand wanting to know that because it's like inherently interesting. It's like you just don't meet an art dealer every day.
Yeah.
But their relationship would never work out in the long run because as much as he wants somebody who doesn't care about money, he needs somebody who cares about money as much as he does. And I don't think he realizes that yet. There is some extreme drama with Richie and Hannah. She thinks that she's going to choose Richie. And then she ends up having a connection with another guy who we'll talk about that in a bit because yikers, it gets worse for her. But she tells Richie like, hey, I talked to the other guy and I'm in love with him. So I'm going to explore that. And I think this should be our last conversation. He freaks out. Like, he starts yelling at her.
Don't you understand that that's why I'm so, like, exasperated? The schedule's gonna decide your fucking husband for life?
He tells her he's going to choose her. And I actually think he meant it. I think he wanted to choose her. He came into that conversation like, all right, I'm going to propose to her. And she's like, oh, I love someone else. And then he's all set off. But get this, the next day he comes back and he's like, hey, I am so sorry for that. How I acted was so inappropriate. I think that this is a great mutual decision we've come to, that we are not right for each other, despite me begging you last night to choose me. But no, it's actually mutual. You're right. It is mutual. And could you do me a favor and go talk to the other girl and tell her that it is mutual between you and I, which it is. You're not dumping me. We're dumping each other because we found someone else. I found someone else so much better. Can you go tell her that I like her so much more than I like you, please?
If there's one thing I would ask you to do for me, I would like beg of you to tell Brittany that like it really was mutual.
Obviously, Trophy is pretty distressed at this point because she wants to, pursue this guy, but this guy is like freaking out with another girl, and she's hearing about this. So she's like, "Hey, I want to read you a letter, Richie." Now, this is initially a love letter, but apparently she went and crossed out a bunch of things. Then she just starts talking about how she's so disappointed in him. That's what she wrote down, is all the ways that she's disappointed. So you would think that a love letter scratched out to become a hate letter would end in them breaking up, but instead he proposes and she says, yes.
I feel like our connection has been tainted by your words to someone else. I feel like they think I'm settling for you.
Will you marry me?
Yes.
Bad news, they're both going to the next round. We're going to see more of them. Their meeting is so palpably awkward.
You're fucking beautiful.
Ugh, it's extra. But twist, I said that they're going on to the next round. Turns out they're not. They're being kicked off the show. Not in a malicious way, but they just have so many couples, and the show can be selective about which ones they want to pursue on to the next round. And the show decided, like, hey, they're not right for each other. There's no way they get married. That's gotta be an ego blow. It's nice that you guys got engaged, but yeah, you go away now? Like, they're not even allowed to get married. They're engaged, but I guess they could go off and get married on their own, which would kind of be crazy if the show was like, yeah, you guys just aren't compatible, and then in the reunion they came back and they were like actually married. Ashley and Tyler. There is no drama. They get along. I don't think he knew her last name, because every time a guy proposes on the show, they say first name, last name, and usually middle name as well. He proposed to her 2 times, once through the wall and then once more properly, once they got to be face to face. And both times he's just like, hey, Ashley, will you marry me? He doesn't say your full name.
I love you so much, Ashley. Will you marry me? Ashley. Will you marry me?
I almost expected him to be like, hey, big A dog, you want to marry me or what? Like, what are you thinking? Just super casual. Just keeping it casual. Tim and Alex, another semi-boring couple. Like, there's not a lot of drama to them. No yelling, no shouting, no getting mad when he learns her race. Nothing. At one point that he said he's a dog and he needs someone who fights back.
I'm a dog. Like, when it comes to this, like, seriously, I need somebody who's gonna bite back.
I know what you mean, and it's not a good thing. Like, I need someone who bites back at me. Like, if you get into a fight with somebody, you don't want somebody as hard-headed as you. You want somebody who hears you out, and somebody who's not just gonna beat their forehead against your forehead. I actually did a revision for them. I wrote down before they met each other, 27%, but then I gave them a 43% chance. So I bumped it up, and it was because they had serious chemistry once they meet each other face to face. But I did write down that she was going to be the one who was going to be the decider of this relationship, meaning that if it failed, it was going to be because she decided to end the relationship. So we'll see if that's accurate. Then there is Nicole and the electrician. Can you guess what his career is? That's right, he's a plumber. So, no, there is a weird moment between them where he mentions in the pods that he cheated in a past relationship, and she apologizes to him that he had to go through that.
I got caught, which I knew I would. I was very disappointed with myself.
I'm so
And there was a lot
sorry.
of,
No one talks about that. No one talks about how hard it is to cheat. It's so taxing on the soul. Why is there no sympathy for cheaters ever? I was originally worried because before they meet, she says that she gets the ick really easily, physical appearance wise. I was like, oh my God, that's gonna be a huge concern.
The physical piece of it, like I can get the ick very easily.
But oh my God, I don't think I've ever seen like the first meeting be as passionate as these two.
You're so cute. Your curly hair's perfect.
Tangible electricity. There is real fire between them. I put it at 52% just based off that heat. However, these two have some big drama coming up, so we'll explore that. Another big drama couple is Marissa and Ramses. They're in a love triangle with Brian. I don't know. That's probably not his name. I don't care. Doesn't matter. He doesn't get chosen. It's kind of like the more boring triangle because, they're all super healthy about it. It's like, let's make good TV. Let's be toxic. What are you thinking? And even when Marissa breaks up with Luke or David, whatever I called him, he's super understanding.
I'm very happy with the experiment. I'd go as far to say I feel like 90% positive that love is blind.
And he leaves and does like this triumphant shout like he's in some 80s movie that's ending.
But yes, very happy for you guys.
Okay. Why do you handle everything so great? All right.
Bye, Marissa.
And when they see each other, I felt so good. I gave them the highest chance of all the couples. These two, they're both super attractive. They have great vibes. They have like a healthy dynamic between them. Like they navigated a throuple. They throupled and navigated that cleanly. So I gave them a 76% chance of marriage. They felt the best of me. They're the healthy individuals. Now the last couple is Punter and Hannah. She broke up with Punter at one point because she was worried that he was a bit too much of a playboy and a little too immature. So she broke up with him and then convinced herself that she was overthinking it.
Like, what if the reveal, you don't like what you see? Or like, what if
you don't like what you see?
Those that know where this plotline is going, you have to be like, oh goodness. I call him Punter because he had a dream of like punting professionally. Like in the game of American football, it's like the least respected position on a football team. But he keeps calling himself an athlete, and it's like, I don't think professional punters even call themselves like professional athletes.
I was a kicker and a punter. I played college football a little bit professionally. Real estate kind of fell in my lap. You know, obviously, if I could choose to be an athlete, I would. That would be so funny. We could be a little cute football couple.
It's so funny to watch like a defensive lineman or even like a receiver. They're like 6'2", 220, just pure muscle, 3% body fat, and then you see a punter and it's like they're like 5'8", 150 pounds. This guy's trying so hard to be like smooth and suave. Honestly, it literally turns off most of the girls who are like, he's trying too hard to be something. Doesn't feel genuine.
He was a smooth talker. F-boy question mark?
At one point, he goes on about how he finds her so attractive, like he doesn't even know what she looks like, and she's just so attractive to him. And it would be sweet if that was true, but I can feel that it's not. And that's one of those things where I said like men fall in love with their eyes, women fall in love with their ears. It's a little reductive, but at the same time, there's some truth to it. You can just see that, and it's just like, oh no, he doesn't mean that. You gotta.
You could be my Travis Kelce.
Oh my gosh, I'm a little bit better looking than Travis, but
last season there was a woman who was like, hey, my celebrity doppelganger is Megan Fox. Like there's like some resemblance, but you have to understand, to somebody that can't see you, now he is picturing you are almost identical to Megan Fox, which does you no good. This guy talking about how he's like this big time athlete, he's one of the coolest looking guys out on the field. He's giving off the image that he's like this big, tall, athletic guy. And he's like, I think he's 5'8". There's nothing wrong with it, but you have to be careful about the impression you're giving people.
I don't have a type, but like an athletic, hot nerd. Yeah.
you got the first two down.
And Hannah initially is really off-put by his appearance because it's not what he presented himself to be. So she's not attracted to him, and you can feel it. You can feel it. It's horrible.
You're absolutely beautiful. You know that?
Thank you.
You know, hug. Come here.
And mind you, they have said I love you to each other numerous times already. But I also want to take a moment to recite what Nick said. I'm not going to play the full clip because of copyright reasons. But right before they meet each other for the first time, you know, face to face, they do the reveal. They always do a little interview to get the thoughts of the contestant. Like, what are you expecting to see? Do you still care about them? How much will looks factor in? Hannah on her interview says like, I'm just excited to see him. It doesn't really matter what he looks like. You know, I love him for who he is. That sort of thing. And here is a quote from Nick. He says, I definitely think I'm worthy for love. I know my mom would agree. Joke. Hannah's just that security blanket for me. I think she knows the type of man I would be. I'm consistent. And it's not about the job you have or the status and what income and what car you drive. A lot of best men don't drive the nicest car or have the best house. And it makes me feel really, really good and really secure. She has so much depth to her. That's the full thing. I didn't take anything out. I didn't add anything. That's what he said. They asked him like, hey, what are your expectations? What are you feeling right now? And he starts talking about the men and the car that they drive and how that's in relation to their financial status.
And it's not about the type of job you have and your status and your income and what car you drive. A lot of the best men don't drive the nicest cars.
What? Like, what are you talking about? Talk about the woman you're about to meet. Huh? Why wouldn't you do that? Why would you do all that? Why would you talk that much about all that? Also saying Hannah's just the security blanket for me. That doesn't feel good, dude.
Hannah's just that security blanket for me.
I think he was trying to convey that she makes him feel safe and secure, but it came across more as she is the safe option to choose to continue the show with. The chance that they got married, I put it at 4%. That felt high to me. Now let's get on to the Mexico portion. And just a little follow-up to Hannah. I thought that her not being attracted to him was gonna be a big part of the Mexico portion. Turns out she's over it. She's like, you know what? I started to kind of come to terms with what he looks like, so I'm no longer bothered by his looks. Like, she gets over it so fast. Speaking of Punter and Hannah, let's just carry it on because they have the biggest Mexico drama of all the Mexico drama. Punter is like, hey, just so we're on the same page, I got a brand back home. I got an image to protect. So watch what you say.
I'm one of those people who like keeps shit like between us, right? Like, and like I got like not an image, but like a brand back home.
He's no longer pursuing punting professionally because no league wants him. And now he's like a junior real estate trainee. I don't know what image he has. I don't think he has an image. I think he doesn't want people to know that he's banging her. And I think that's actually what it is. Sadly.
It could be cool if we were on the same page about it.
We'll
like
be
just,
cool. We're on the same page.
Yeah, cool.
But it's like, hey, my guy, homie, I got a little news flash for you. She is your fiance. So everyone knows that you're together and it's going to be televised, your whole relationship. So their drama in Mexico is they're hanging out by the beach and he sees a bunch of ducks, not real ones, like seats. They're plastic seats. And he's like, you know what? I want to go ride one of those. I want to go sit on one. And she's like, hey, I'm going to get the ick if you do that. And he's like, oh, say less. I'm going to go do it now then. Let's break up. He actually goes over and sits on one. And then apparently a lady who's like in her 60s is nearby and he invites her over. Like, hey, you want to come ride with me? And then we cut back to Hannah and she's sitting there. She's grossed out. I don't think he really did much wrong and she made a bigger deal out of this than needed to be made. They're kind of like half trying to joke their way out of it.
I'm literally trying to keep the passion alive, Nick. You riding a duck is hard for me.
Other than that couple, all the other couples feel so freaking strong, which was so weird for me because I watched season 6 with the intention of making a video on it. But in season 6, it felt like there was almost no strong couples. Maybe one or two, but everything else felt like, none of these are going to make it. This is the opposite. This season, a real effort they made in casting people who felt like they wanted to be on the show for love rather than for fame. They all hang out on the beach. They all are having a good time. There's no drama to be found anywhere. But then we cut to the next morning. Drama. I'm going to talk about the electrician and Monica. I'm seeing a couple cracks in their relationship because he gets back and he's just like effusively gushing about their relationship and how great she is and how much he's in love with her. He can't wait to marry her. She is the best. He's the kind of guy that it's never going to be A to B. When you talk to him, it's going to be A to L to R to 7 to Uganda to B. Right? Like, it's a long way around.
And I'm very deep-rooted in the moment. You are going to be able to sit there and say, hey, this is how we should plan things out. Like, look at these steps. And you're going to set them out in such a particular way. It's easier for me to say, hey, and it's such a perfect dynamic.
She gets really upset at him. She's like, babe, I love you, but shut the fuck up.
Am I being chatty again?
Literally cannot get a word in.
I'm so sorry.
I'm obsessed with you, but like, Jesus Christ.
And then he's silent. He's like, oh, fully understand. The floor is yours now. And then she just keeps banging on about how he just talks too much.
You're right. You're right.
Come on, babe.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
Seriously, it's funny, but it's like kind of not getting funny a little bit.
I understand.
The reason she's upset is because she wanted to gossip negatively about others. She saw some bad vibe between one of the other couples and wanted to talk to him about that. But he kept talking about how much he loves her, and that pissed her off.
I wanted to talk to you about the Alex and Tim thing. I felt like something weird was going on there.
Like, you didn't even want to shut him up so you could talk about something important. You just wanted to gossip about other couples.
You know the love languages. You know I'm a big words of affirmation, acts of service person, but my third one is gifts. And like...
Acts of service, words of affirmation, and gifts, these are the love languages, right? And every single person I've ever talked to, not a single one has ever said gifts is their love language. Maybe that's because I'm selecting for people that wouldn't say gifts. That's possible. So it could be like a selection bias, but I've never heard anyone say gifts is a love language for them. It's kind of the one where people like, even if gifts is your love language, you don't say it. You just want me for the things I can get you? Ooh, that doesn't feel good. But she's upset with him because he hasn't gotten her gifts.
It's just about making me feel special. Like,
No, you're right. And and I dropped the ball on that.
Mind you, it is day 3 of their Mexico trip, all-inclusive paid resort trip in Mexico on the beach, all-inclusive paid, and she's upset that he hasn't gotten her gifts yet. Alex and Tim, they were the morning after. There was all the positive vibes in the air. I thought everyone was getting married except the punter. But the next morning, it is somber news. Alex and Tim, they're on the verge of a breakup. Something happened last night. We didn't see it. They're just talking about it.
Some shit was just not cool that happened yesterday. There are lines with me that you don't cross.
Now, it's not revealed to us what she called him. He kept saying, like, you called me something apart from my God-given name. She called him, like, a slur or something. It wasn't until the reunion that we found out that she called him a pussy-ass bitch.
Well, because he was disrespecting me for like over an hour. I said, you're acting like a little ass bitch.
But she was very remorseful. She kind of caved in and was like, I'm sorry, I was out of line, basically. But he can't even look her in the eyes. Like she's trying to cuddle up on him. She's trying to build something back. He won't look at her. It is tough. But he says he'll give it another try. He says he can overlook her comment just like a pussy ass bitch would. And my thing is, like, if you're that close to breaking up, that bridge is so burnt, you gotta find a new bridge. That's what you gotta do. Mexico is rather uneventful, so let's move on to the final phase, which is the living together phase. This is the phase where things tend to go south. When you're in the pods, when you're on vacation, all the vibes are high.
You're acting like a little ass bitch.
You're meeting new people. You haven't found any flaws yet because you're just finding out about this person. But now everyone's back to their normal lives. And this is one thing I actually really want to compliment the show on. Since most shows cast across a nation, and as big as the US is, it's gonna be tough to justify a person who lives in Florida to move all the way to Colorado for a relationship. But what the show does is they cast regionally. So every season has like one city as its forefront, so they don't have to move to appease a relationship. Like they can just date once the show's over. But still, that said, once the real life comes back into play, like your friends, your family, your job, all these things can cast aspersions on your life. Aspersion. An attack of the reputation or integrity of someone or something. I think I used it right, so good for me.
I like things the way I like things, and everyone else just can't do it as good as me.
It's fucking evil. Our superpower seems like it's not our superpower anymore.
I am not the one for you.
Every single couple has a problem. I thought the vibes were high. I thought everyone's getting married. Marissa and Ramses. The one major problem they have is she used to be in the military and he hates the military. And she now looks at it where she's like, I'm not proud of everything the US has done. However, I'm proud of my time and who it's made me into being. And a lot of my friends and family, I'm proud of their service as well. And he's like, renounce it.
I support
the people.
The people. So nuanced. It's a job to some people. They sacrifice like a lot.
So they have kind of like a difficult conflict there. And I feel like that's at the heart of a lot of their issues. And it's weird with them because it's like the healthiest version of a toxic relationship. Because they always talk about it and they don't really raise their voices. But every time they debate something, it feels like it never comes to a conclusion. It always feels like it's an ongoing issue. He meets her family, her mom lays into him. She is brutal.
You guys look like siblings. It's kind of weird.
He kept talking about his fashion,
which I have to say is kind of off.
Is it off?
Yeah.
But they do make it to the final days. And unfortunately, we cut in and you can see his body language. This is not good. As soon as I saw him in this body language, I was like, oh, I think he's going to break up with her. What he starts the conversation with is, I'm just scared of hurting you. Now, ladies, as a guy, I'm gonna let you in. I'm gonna open the door. I got some drinks on the table. Have a seat. We're gonna discuss some things. When a guy says something like, I just don't want to hurt you, that's bullshit. I'll call it the shiny flag. It's like, hey, Look at this. This is the reason I'm breaking up with you. Look at this nice shiny flag. Don't look over there. No. Don't look at that. Don't look at that flag over there. That flag that says, hey, I'm just not sure about you. I just don't know if I want to spend eternity with you because sometimes you're a lot. Look at this shiny flag. It says, I don't want to hurt you. I'm such a good guy. I'm looking out for you in this moment. All right? Keep your eyes over here. Maybe she does know this. Maybe she can recognize this, but she's in love with him and she wants to work this out. She wants to get married to this guy. So she's like, oh, you just don't want to hurt me? Like, okay, why would you hurt me? Like, let's work this out. What are the problems? Give me tangible problems that I can solve. And he says, okay, the problem in our relationship is the energy.
It's about your energy and my energy living and coexisting in the same space is what it is.
Homie, listen, I believe in energy. If you walk into a room and the energy is off, you can feel like energy's real. Because it's not tangible, because you can't sink your teeth into it, because you can't like really describe it fully. A lot of people use that as an excuse to not have to have a conversation that's more difficult. Maybe it's not working because he doesn't get as much joy being around her. You know, that's hard to have a conversation about. Sometimes I just don't enjoy your presence. You don't want to say that, right? And you know what? I get it. I get it, dude. I also hate hurting people's feelings. And sometimes in the past, instead of saying the difficult thing, instead you just kind of let it play out. And you're just like, okay, we don't have to have that difficult conversation. But oftentimes that drags out and it's so much more painful and uncomfortable. It's better to be blunt in a caring way and just say the thing that you feel. This show is an experiment. They set it up as that, where it's like, hey, wouldn't it be nice if you could just fall in love with the personality and in 30 days you just know that this person is the person for you forever? No one should actually be doing this. So it'd be like, hey, this experiment, it didn't work for me. I need to know you more before I'm ready to marry you. He could have had that conversation with her, but instead he's like, no, the energy. Something about. Yeah, oh yeah, it's off. But like I said, I can't really blame him because I've been in those shoes and it does not feel good to put them back on. Oh, you want some positive? You want some positive information? The nerds, Garrett and Taylor. Let me tell you, if I have a favorite couple, it's them. I am a big banter person. It's how I express my closeness with the personess. It's how I express my closeness with the person is through banter. And if they can banter back, oh, it feels so nice. These two are elite banterers. They are both equally funny and witty, and they play off each other. It feels so nice.
I'm not gonna totally get the ick and then leave.
Are you trying to convince me or yourself?
I'm not sure.
You really wouldn't expect it out of their personalities because, well, he's like a small town spearfishing kind of guy, and she's like a big city girl. It's kind of like a Hallmark movie in a way, and it kind of works in the same. It's like a Hallmark feeling too. They feel really good. Now, in the pods, he said he was willing to relocate to San Diego. She'd been recently considering going to San Diego to live closer to her family. And then once he got back home and he was around his family again, he was like, I'm not so sure. Like, that's actually kind of difficult. I don't know that I want to do that. But he does eventually relent, and he's like, you know what? I'm up for the new challenge. Let's go to San Diego. One of the most effed up moments of the season is Tim and Alex. They should have just broke up back when he wanted to break up the first time. But he said, no, I'm going to give it another chance. Oh, God. Oh, you're gonna hate hearing this. Her dad has MS, multiple sclerosis. You know, that it's the disease that does the thing. And her dad also is not into this experiment at all.
How do you feel, Dad?
Exciting moment.
What?
About meeting Tim. Is that okay with you?
Do I have any choice?
Now, this setup is not good. I'm going to tell you, he doesn't want to be there. He makes that known.
I'm interested to meet him. I can't say I'm excited.
It's like almost like an interrogation. They're all sitting on one side of the room. He's on the other. And let me tell you, Tim delivers. Get this man a job at the post office because he delivers.
One thing we actually bonded over was family. When I'm thinking of a partner and somebody I want to build a life with, that's central. What you come from is gonna dictate a lot of what you create. And
he sounds so genuine. He talks about the relationship in such a positive light. He presents himself so well. And eventually he asks for some alone time. He wants to one-on-one with the father. He's got a letter that he wants to read him. And he wants the father to give the blessing for him to take over that duty in the life of looking after Alex.
I want to promise to you that I will treat her with the amount of respect and dignity that I would treat one of my own parents' daughters.
He and the father relate so hard on a lot of things. Like they were both, I think, in the Air Force. They both are golfers. They have a lot in common. And it just feels so perfect. And the father, through tears, not wanting even to be a part of the show, is like, I absolutely give you my blessing. You can marry her. I trust you with her heart.
I accept. You have my son.
Thank you, sir.
So 2 days later, he breaks up with her.
There is no scenario that I see myself standing there and saying yes to making you my wife forever. And I'm glad we can at least agree that I don't ever want to see you again.
So his family came, they drove 10 hours to them so that she could meet his family, like he met her family. And they hung out for about 4 hours. And I think, if I got this correct, there was a lot of back and forth. I think she was working a night shift. She was going to bartend. And that night, she was tired before going into work. So she's like, I'm going to get an hour nap in before I go to work. And he is upset at her for going to take a nap when his family was in town, despite them hanging out for the past 4 hours. Can I ask what's more disrespectful? Taking a 1 hour nap before having a night shift after spending 4 hours with your fiance's family? Or is it making your own family drive 10 hours to meet somebody that you're about to break up with anyways?
This was nice. I wish you the best of luck.
And oh man, this is one of those things where it's like he was just looking for a justification. You could have just broke up. You don't need a thing. You could have just been like, hey, I'm out. Another couple that was strong coming out of Mexico, maybe even the strongest coming out of Mexico, was Ashley and Tyler. They had that party the first night while they were in Mexico with the whole group, and he's like, that's my wife. Like, we're getting married, 100%.
See y'all at the wedding, baby.
And she is the same way. She's like rock solid steady with him. But they have a little hiccup, because it turns out he has 3 children.
Now that's what, 3 extra kids? Like, that's wild. Who are these people? I just feel like I should know that. You have yet to show me anything. Here are the documents that say, like, I'm uninvolved.
So, little hiccup. When I first heard that, I was shocked, okay? And I took a bunch of notes, and it was all very vague, and there wasn't a lot of specifics, and I got them in the reunion, and I'll share them with you now. So here's the full picture. His friend was in a relationship with a woman. So it's a woman in a relationship with a woman, and they want to start a family together. And instead of going to like a sperm bank, they asked him, he's like, hey, can we get some of your juice there, dog? I don't know what to say. Give me some of that nectar. Give me some of that juice's nectar. But the problem is, his friend, the wife, left, right? So it's just his friend who's now raising 3 kids on her own, and they're his kids. And he's like, okay, I was raised by a single mother, so I should also step in. You know, I don't want them to have a tougher upbringing when I could, help provide. The problem is, obviously, he didn't tell her, and they talked about having a family, and this never came up. It feels manipulative. Here's the justification. Here's how he poses it. He didn't want the children to be a part of the show. And he didn't want to bring it up and for the show to bring the kids into it. I've seen Netflix producers, they'll put anything and everything in the show if it's good television. So even if he wanted to keep his kids out of it, the show could have been like, too bad, we're putting them in it. So I could actually understand his perspective. It feels really a really convenient excuse to not tell her that you have 3 kids that you're kind of looking after, but they're not your kids, but they are your kids. It's such a weird thing. Other than that, they're super strong. So will they get married? Will that prevent them? Stay tuned. All right. And maybe the biggest drama of the season, the electrician. He's bringing that sparkling electricity. Electricity there, Joe.
I just cannot believe it.
So the scene starts off wild. We don't know what's going on. We're cutting in. There's crying going on. We see Taylor. I think Taylor's the one that's like bawling her eyes out. I'm like, oh my God, what did Garrett do? Did he put his spear in another fish, if you know what I mean? Now again, super vague. It was really difficult to parse out, but I finally got the whole picture. Taylor is with Monica because the electrician did something wrong. So one night he did a sleep study. He went to a clinic and got his like sleep monitored. While he was there, he got a DM from a girl and he started talking real foul, talking about a bunch of crazy foul things that they're both into. And she saw those messages, Monica did, and was like, okay, you might be a little too freaky for me. Also, that's cheating. And that's terrible for Monica, but do you know who it's worse for? Me. Because I was talking all this junk on Monica, only for him to cheat on her? You're putting me in a bind. Screw you, electrician. You screwed me over so bad.
Sorry for wasting your time, for coming on this show.
What a selfish piece of shit.
We have one final couple to talk about before we talk about the wedding, and that is Punter and Hannah. They have a conversation. I'm not joking when I say this. One of them says something so stupid, it kind of like broke me a little bit. On the show, he's kind of given this image of this ex-athlete who is now in real estate. So they come back from Mexico. Turns out he is living in his parents' basement, and it's been like that for about 5 years now. he's been in that basement.
I don't know. I have a feeling your mom cleaned it before I got here.
Mommy and daddy also pay for almost everything. So he doesn't have almost any bills because they take care of it all. I don't even think he does his own laundry. So, a couple of days later, after she sees his living situation, we cut in on her cleaning the apartment. They need to have hard conversations about their future. She wants to know about like things like joint accounts. She wants to know about children, household duties. Like, what is this going to look like if they got married? Every time she talks or says something, all he responds with are just like one-word sentences, like, yeah, no, maybe.
Yep, okay, yeah.
Or he'll volley her question back to her by being like, well, what do you think about it?
Are you paying the bills or am I paying the bills?
What do you think?
And I can see it. I can see it in his eyes. He is biding his time. He is hoping throughout this entire conversation to sound so useless that she gets fed up and breaks up with him. He won't break up with her because that's a bad look for him. He's got a reputation.
How long have you lived in the basement for?
He is on this show, I think, only for the fame. The problem is she actually loves him and she wants to fight for their relationship. And it's kind of pissing him off a little bit because it would be so much easier if she would just give up. But she won't. She's talking to him about like the stock market. Like let's put some money in stocks. Like let's find a way to earn different incomes so it's not just real estate. And she's like, I can help teach you about the stock market. And he says this.
Stocks. I could give a fuck about stocks.
I can teach you.
Do you know about sports?
Sir, we're talking about your living situation. We're talking about your future. We're talking about ways for you guys to earn a living. We're not talking about things we just know a lot about.
Does watching sports make you more financially successful?
I don't think stocks does.
That is the dumbest thing I've heard in such a long time. I had to think, like, did they cut this? Did they edit this in a way that made it seem like way worse than it was? But I just think it was, he just had a stupid thought and was like, let me say it. No ambition, no goals, no dreams. Like, what am I supposed to do with you? And my thing is like, you don't want to be with somebody like that. That is a complete deal breaker. The parents are out of the picture. You now slot in the role of the parents where you're taking care of him financially. You're taking care of all of his laundry, his cars, bills. Do you think he's going to do the cooking? Do you think he's going to do the cleaning? He doesn't do that now. Oh, he's the worst kind of partner you can have. The worst part of this is guys are always come on the show and I can feel when they're not genuine. The fact that you're not engaging, the fact that you're not trying at all to have a relationship, we can see it. And then she gets a lot of flack, especially in the reunion. They dig into her for how brutal she is.
Nick demonstrated a lot of patience that I never would have had. Very impressed by that. I knew he was a good dude, but yeah, I was definitely impressed by his patience throughout the whole thing.
And I was shocked. The show was taking his side, it seemed. Now, she did say some harsh things about how she felt that he wasn't on her level intellectually, financially. There was a lot. It was harsh. But it was true. He meets her friends, and her friends don't like him. And then he meets her family. Oh, God. Her mom says something, and I'll play it.
Nick doesn't match me intellectually. Nick doesn't match my humor. He doesn't match me financially. He doesn't match me, like, anywhere.
None of that matters if you love each other. None of that matters.
I think we got to stop with that. I feel like love and marriage aren't necessarily intertwined. Like, just because you love somebody doesn't mean you have to marry them. I feel like love is like a nice solid, it's like a plot of land to build a house upon. Respect, moral character, willingness to compromise. There are so many things in a relationship, in a marriage, that are more important or as important as love. And if you only have love in a relationship, in a marriage, then there's gonna be a time when there's like a lot of rainfall and you're just, all you have is that land. You got no shelter. Now you got pneumonia from standing in the rain. The mosquitoes come out, you're bitten up. You like that? No. So they break up. Or rather, she breaks up with him.
You know, I've been trying because, like, I love you and I want this so freaking bad. And you know that this is not gonna work. We are not gonna get married.
All of everything I thought about him is immediately validated. I can practically see the joy brimming on his face. He's trying to like suppress it.
I didn't come this far just to come this far. You heard the, Kim K and that Drake song. I didn't come this far just to come this far.
There's no fight. There's no like, hey, give me another chance. Let me get my stuff together. I swear to God, he went home. He went to his parents' basement and he fist pumped so hard. Because he thinks like he's going to be the sympathetic figure now who got broken up with by this callous woman who kept saying that he wasn't on her level intellectually. Everyone's going to feel sorry for him. All that said, who gets married? 2 couples this year. Garrett and Taylor and Ashley and Tyler. The wedding episodes, I usually fast forward to. Are they going to get married? Yes or no? I don't need to see all the preamble, the final conversations with the family. Like, it's all stuff you've said before. It's all just like recapping, essentially. I knew that both were going to say yes. They were both very strong. Now, in the reunion, like I mentioned, they really went after Hannah for a bit. Here's my thing with the punter. Everyone falls on hard times, right? I don't want to give him too much flack for living with his parents, right? Because sometimes you fall on hard times and you need a place to go. And it's nice to have a family who are willing to look after you. My problem is with people who fall on hard times and then they get comfy. She tried really hard to reach a hand down to help lift him up. And he was like, no, thank you. This place reminds me of my parents' basement. I'm going to get comfortable around here. Just like that. That's it. She apologizes a few times for being too harsh. The way that they phrase questions towards Nick, punter, sorry. It's very softball questions to make him be like, yeah, I was really hurting, you know? And they wanted to lean into that. And then they would go to Hannah and be like, how does it feel to be such a callous bitch?
It takes a lot of patience to be in a relationship with you, to hear that constantly.
And she's like, oh, I've been working on myself. I'm not who I was. I'm really sorry. I'm kind of mean. I'm too direct sometimes. I've been working on it. But then it switches. And now things start coming to light.
So meanwhile, like, I hear that he's saying like stuff after the video, like calling me like a grenade and calling me ugly.
Punter told one of the other guys that he wasn't attracted to Hannah, and he called her kind of like a derogatory term, a grenade essentially, which is just like friggin' Jersey Shore type lingo. It's a term for like the ugly friend. He tries to deny it like crazy, and they kind of like don't let it go, and eventually he has to admit like, okay, I might have said some things. I didn't say grenade though. I just said I wasn't attracted to her at all, and she's a big uggo. And then it also comes out, oh boy, that before he left for doing the show, he had a list of goals over the next 90 days. And one of his goals was to be the most famous Love is Blind castmate of all time. So if you're questioning his motive still, there you go. Another little bit of information we find out, Taylor and Garrett, they did not move to San Diego. The reason I didn't like that is because it felt like at the very start, she was like, hey, this is something that is a deal breaker for me. I need to find somebody who is willing to relocate to San Diego. And he's like, yes, that's me. I'm on board. And then he starts getting cold feet. And then right before the wedding, he's like, you know what? Let's go to San Diego. I'm willing. I'm on board. So she marries him. And then after the wedding, he's like, I don't want to go again. And now she is married to this guy who said twice now, and they had long conversations about it, that he was going to go. She wanted to be closer to her family, and he wanted to be closer to his family. And eventually they chose his family. Or rather, he chose, I don't know. Just got bad vibes from that. But I will say, I'm not a fan of the term glow up, but this man, he looks so much better in the reunion. He parted his hair, which I've heard is kind of a trendy look. Certain YouTubers have really been pushing this trend forward. Ramses is there. He looks like a scolded child. Like, I don't think he looks up more than 1 or 2 times the entire show. He literally talks like looking down at the ground because it feels like he's in trouble. Marissa at one point whispers to the girl, I think it was Hannah next to her. She's like, I think I hate him.
I don't want to change who she is. She deserves a person and a love that.
So that was the end of their journey. Fun. And that was it. That was the entire season of Love is Blind. 2 marriages, and also 2 pretty good marriages. I feel like there were solid foundation marriages as well. Tyler and Ashley, I feel like they worked out the one big thing, the one big kink in their relationship. Garrett and Taylor, I don't know, the San Diego thing feels a little bad, but the rest of the relationship feels so solid that I don't think that they'll divorce. A couple of A-tier banterers. I'd hate to see the worst happen to them. All in all, it's a good cast. Some good trash this year. People think that Love is Blind is like a more buttoned up version, you know, of some other shows like Too Hot to Handle. There's still some F-boys and F-girls on this show.
Oh my gosh, I'm a little bit better looking than Travis, but
it's the same filth. We're still getting the same dirt on us. And again, I feel like this making this video helps wash it a little bit. So maybe you guys can later hit the showers yourself and scrub really hard. Get this all off you. I'm sorry for putting it on you, but thank you to Bombers for sponsoring this video. Get comfortable. Get some socks. Huh? And I will see you guys next time. Next time there's a terrible show. Actually, I found another one. So I know when that's coming. Next time. Okay, talk to you later. See ya.